At 4:17 local time in the Northern Gulf, the sea looks calm in the way only open water can. Flat, reflective, almost misleading. Inside the carrier strike group, everything feels routine. Sensors are active, watches are steady. Nothing suggests that the next few minutes are about to change. Then the radar picture shifts. Inside the Combat Information Center, a single contact appears at the far edge of the display. Clean return, high speed. No scheduled reason to be there. The watch officer leans in, not alarmed, just focused. One contact on its own does not mean much. 7 seconds later, a second return appears. Different bearing, different profile. That changes the tone. The system does not announce danger. It does not dramatize. It does exactly what it was built to do. It compares, correlates, and questions. The two tracks do not fit civilian traffic. They do not fit weather. They do not fit each other. At 4:17 and 20 seconds, a third contact appears, then a fourth. The room tightens, not with panic, but with recognition. This is how a real event begins. Not with noise, with a pattern. On the main display, the first thermal plume flares along the coastline to the north. Bright, sharp, too fast to be anything else. The system tags it before anyone can say it out loud. Launch detected. Another plume follows within seconds. Then another. Different launch points. Staggered timing. No attempt to hide what is happening. Now the display begins to fill quickly. Tracks stack. Vectors spread outward, then bend inward. The software stops treating them like anomalies and starts treating them like intent. Fixed launch sites are joined by mobile emitters. Sea-based signatures appear, vanish, then reappear closer. At this point, it is no longer a question. 4:18. The watch officer speaks in a clipped, level voice. Multiple launches detected. No one asks how many yet. The system is still sorting. Across the CIC, consoles shift automatically. Passive sensors give way to active confirmation. Data links surge to full bandwidth. The escorts begin tightening formation, not in any dramatic way, just enough to redraw overlapping coverage zones. On the bridge, the captain watches the same feed. He waits for confirmation, then gives the order. Condition 3, set and man all key stations. The words move through the ship with mechanical precision. Steel doors seal. Red lighting comes alive in critical spaces. Sailors put on helmets and gloves, not in a rush because rushing creates mistakes. Below deck, missile cells hum as power levels rise. Safeties remain in place. Nothing is live yet. At 4:18 and 40 seconds, the count stabilizes. 44 inbound tracks. Not all identical, not all fast. Some climb high to trade altitude for speed. Others remain mid-level, shaping their timing. Several drop low, so low they fade in and out of sea clutter. This is not a probe, not a warning. It is a saturation attack designed to strain the system. Time to impact begins falling in steady steps. 9 minutes. Electronic warfare teams bring receivers fully online. They listen first. They always listen first. Every waveform, every guidance signal is captured, stored, and time-stamped. Nothing is transmitted yet. Across the formation, escorts make tiny adjustments. Fractions of knots. Fractional heading changes. Invisible to the naked eye, decisive in the geometry of defense. Firing arcs separate cleanly. Overlapping creases where the math predicts the pressure will build. The carrier remains centered, no evasive turn, no change in speed. 8 minutes. One cluster adjusts course slightly, just enough for the system to flag it. Countermeasure behavior logged. A low track disappears entirely, masked by curvature. The display keeps its last known vector in ghosted white. No one relaxes. 7 minutes. The air wing stays chained to the deck. Pilots stand by their aircraft with helmets on and hands still. No launch order is coming yet. This will be decided before aircraft matter. Inside the CIC, voices get shorter, not louder, shorter. Every call-out is exact, bearing, speed, altitude, no commentary. The captain steps closer to the display. 44 hostile tracks continue to close. This is beyond routine defense, one officer says quietly. The captain nods once, confirmed. 6 minutes. Threat rings contract again. Some tracks accelerate while others slow, deliberately throwing off synchronization. The system compensates, recalculating intercept windows in real time. No weapons have fired yet, but the strike group is no longer preparing. It is committed. 5 minutes to impact. The first tracks cross the engagement threshold. Weapons release is seconds away, and the inbound wave is still building. Now the tactical picture compresses. What were once scattered vectors collapse into clear corridors of threat. Each one is aimed not at a ship's current position, but at the space those ships are expected to occupy seconds later. This is no longer simple tracking. This is prediction. Inside the Combat Information Center, the system shifts again. Update rates increase. Filters tighten. The display refreshes so quickly the eye can barely follow it. Operators stop scanning the whole picture and lock into assigned sectors, trusting the network to handle the rest. The first wave separates cleanly. High-altitude tracks surge ahead, fast and obvious, built to draw attention early. Mid-level profiles follow in disciplined spacing. Time to arrive just behind the first intercepts. Below them, sea-skimming tracks vanish again, dropping into clutter where radar confidence weakens and uncertainty grows. 4 primary attack axes are now confirmed. Northwest, west, southwest, south, a true saturation envelope. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. One interceptor assignment flickers, then resets. A track briefly miscorrelates, splitting into 2 returns before collapsing back into 1. The system flags it automatically. No one says anything. These are not mistakes, they are friction. A low track drops out again. Still no confirmation. Still no detonation. The ghost vector keeps moving. The watch officer marks it amber, unconfirmed, possible masking. Nothing about that offers comfort. Across the formation, escorts make further micro-adjustments. One destroyer adds half a knot. Another shifts slightly left. From the bridge, the changes are invisible. On the plot, they close a gap that should never have been there. The carrier holds steady. 4 minutes. Electronic warfare teams begin selective emissions, not broad interference. Precise, targeted disruption, brief enough to complicate guidance without exposing the full defensive signature. Receivers keep logging every response. Some of the incoming weapons react. One mid-level track wobbles, then corrects. Another stays steady, unaffected. The system records both. Not every weapon behaves the same. 3 minutes and 30 seconds. The first interceptors are now fully ready. Launch circuits are active. Kill chains are built, rebuilt, and refined. Every inbound track has at least one planned intercept. Some have 2. A few in the densest corridors only have 1. That margin is thin. Then one high-altitude track accelerates unexpectedly. The intercept solution tightens. Time shrinks. 3 minutes. The first interceptor launches. Then another. The display flashes as trajectories cross. One inbound track disappears instantly. Confirmed intercept. A second follows seconds later. Another clean removal. But the system does not pause. It keeps moving. Below, the mid-level wave keeps pressing in, their spacing collapsing exactly as intended. 2 more interceptors launch in rapid succession. One reaches its target. The other misses by meters, cutting through debris without a confirmed result. The track remains. Miss, the operator says flatly. No one reacts. The system has already moved on. A secondary interceptor is reassigned. Geometry shifts again. Time compresses even further. 2 minutes and 15 seconds. The sea skimmers reappear, closer now and faster than before. Their signatures are faint. Their altitude is minimal. One slips through the outer intercept window entirely. Inside the CIC, posture changes. Voices shorten again. Callouts overlap without colliding. The captain watches the display without speaking. 2 minutes. The second interceptor reaches the previously missed mid-level track. Confirmed intercept. The system absorbs the miss and continues, but the low flyer is still there. Now it is inside the inner ring. 90 seconds. Fire control narrows its focus. The next defensive layer comes alive. Sensors tighten. Reaction times drop to fractions of a second. There is no room left for correction. The sea skimmer shifts course slightly, just enough to force a recalculation. The recalculation completes. 60 seconds. Another cluster compresses unexpectedly from the southwest. Their timing is tighter than predicted. They are trying to arrive together. The system responds by redistributing fire. 2 ships take the load. A third supports them silently. Intercept windows overlapping. Interceptors leap outward. One confirmed intercept, then another, but one track survives. It drops even lower. 40 seconds. The carrier does not turn. 30. The final defensive layer is fully engaged, poised at the edge of action. No orders are needed now. The incoming track crosses the last threshold. The response is immediate. The result is not visible yet, and the pressure does not ease because more inbound tracks are still closing. The tactical display narrows to what matters most. One low-altitude track remains, riding the surface so tightly it barely holds a shape at all. More absence than presence. It is inside the inner ring now, where margins are measured in heartbeats. The system assigns it instantly. No hesitation, no announcement. Close-range sensors lock in. Fire control stabilizes. The final layer waits, calibrated for speed, not distance. The sea skimmer makes one last correction, subtle but deliberate, dropping just a fraction lower and forcing the math to chase it. The recalculation finishes in time. The intercept comes late. Too late to feel comfortable. The engagement is violent and brief. The incoming track breaks apart, not into a clean disappearance, but into multiple returns scattered across the waterline. The blast is low, close, and heavy enough to be felt through steel. Not a direct hit, but close enough. On one escort, the shockwave rolls across the deck. Antennas flex. A topside sensor goes dark. Loose gear slams against its restraints. Somewhere forward, a sailor loses footing and hits the deck. The ship holds. Inside the CIC, no one looks away from the screens. The system flags the event immediately. Near intercept. Secondary effects. Damage control teams are already moving. Not running, not shouting, just moving with purpose. The display updates. No new inbound tracks from that axis, but the pressure still does not lift. Another cluster approaches from the southwest, compressed tighter than before. 2 interceptors launch. One connects. The second bursts close enough to scatter debris across the surface. A fragment skips off the water and disappears. The cluster breaks apart. Confirmed intercepts begin stacking across the display. The numbers fall fast now. 44 becomes 30. 30 becomes 12. 12 becomes 3. Each one disappears in its own way. High-altitude threats vanish cleanly far from the formation. Mid-level profiles break apart in brief flashes. The last sea skimmers are erased so close to the surface that the water itself seems to swallow the result. 10 seconds pass. Nothing new appears. Inside the CIC, operators sweep again and again. Long-range radar, short-range radar, passive sensors, infrared. The sky stays empty, but no one relaxes yet. Confirm damage status, the captain orders. The reply comes back in fragments. Minor topside damage on 1 escort, 1 sensor degraded, 2 personnel with minor injuries. No fires, no flooding. The wording matters. Minor, degraded. Injuries, not fatalities. The distinction is exact. The clock reads 4:26 local time, 9 minutes since the first intercept. Across the formation, the defensive wall stays in place. Systems remain active, weapons remain ready. Every ship holds posture as though expecting a second wave. None comes. The carrier continues forward, wake unchanged, speed constant. On the affected escort, damage control teams secure the area. A bent railing is cut away. A shattered sensor housing is covered. The injured sailors are moved below, conscious and already talking. The blast did not stop the ship, it did not slow the ship. That is the measure that matters. Inside the CIC, the tactical display begins to empty for real. Confirmed intercept markers replace threat symbols. The system stops reallocating fire because there is nothing left to assign. All inbound tracks terminated, the watch officer reports. The captain nods once. He does not speak right away. He waits for one more sweep. Still nothing. The engagement ends not with sound, but with absence. The strike group remains intact. 1 ship carries damage. 2 sailors carry bruises. The formation keeps moving. This was not perfect defense. It was enough. Outside, the sea looks unchanged. No smoke hanging over the water. No obvious wreckage. Just open water and the steady movement of steel through it. Inside the ships, everyone understands the difference. An attempt was made to break the system. It did not break. It bent, absorbed, adapted, and held. The inbound wave ended. The strike group never stopped moving, and for the first time since 4:17, the countdown clocks go dark. The move out of engagement is deliberate, almost slow. Systems do not power down all at once. They step back in layers, mirroring the way they came alive. Fire control shifts from automatic to guarded. Sensors widen their view again, scanning beyond the immediate threat envelope. Nothing is assumed. Nothing is rushed. Inside the Combat Information Center, the sound changes. Not louder, not quieter, just different. Fewer alerts, fewer call-outs, more space between words. Someone exhales. It is not acknowledged, but everyone hears it. The captain remains at the display, eyes moving over the clearing picture. He lets the room settle before speaking. Accountability. The response comes ship by ship. No drama, no ceremony, all stations manned. Damage contained. 2 injured, minor, no loss of combat capability. Every report lands cleanly. Every report matters. On the affected escort, the blast area is secured. A twisted antenna mast is marked off. A damaged sensor housing is wrapped in gray canvas and tagged for replacement. Damage control teams move with practiced efficiency, not urgency. The ship remains fully mission capable. That is what counts. Below deck, the 2 injured sailors sit on metal benches with their helmets off. One rolls his shoulder slowly, testing it. The other presses an ice pack against a bruised forearm. They speak quietly, not really about the blast itself, but about how close it felt. Close enough. A corpsman checks vital signs, nods once, and logs the report. No dramatics, no speeches. Just confirmation that both sailors will return to watch soon. On the flight deck, pilots finally ease out of launch posture. Helmets come off, gloves loosen. One aviator rests a hand on the intake of his aircraft a little longer than necessary, feeling the vibration fade. No one celebrates. For a moment, someone almost smiles. Then doesn't. Inside the CIC, one operator rubs his eyes and leans back for the first time in minutes. Another reaches for a bottle of water, realizes it is empty, and sets it down without saying a word. The adrenaline has not left yet. It will not for a while. This is the part that never appears in short summaries. Not fear, not relief, controlled release. The captain breaks the quiet again. Maintain heightened watch. No one needs that explained. Heightened watch does not mean panic. It means awareness without tension. Systems remain ready. Crews remain focused. The difference now is simple. The immediate threat has passed, but the responsibility has not. Across the formation, posture stays disciplined. Escorts hold station. Sensors remain active. No one slips back into routine too early because experience teaches one lesson clearly. The most dangerous assumption is that the hardest part is already over. Minutes pass, 5, 10, nothing changes. The sea remains calm. Traffic continues in the distance, unaware of how close disruption came. The carrier strike group moves through it all as if untouched. Inside the ships, the human cost is light, but real. Bruises will fade. Equipment will be replaced. The memory of how close it felt will last longer than either. At last, the captain steps back from the display. He does not address the room. He does not need to. The message has already been delivered through posture, discipline, and continuity. This was not flawless defense, it was human defense. Imperfect, adaptive, resilient. The sailors understand that better than anyone. They return to their stations. Watches rotate. Coffee appears quietly where there was none before. A hand taps a console twice before moving on, a private acknowledgement that the worst moment has passed. The engagement is over, not because the system won on its own, but because the people inside it stayed steady long enough for it to work. And that is what the strike group carries forward as it continues deeper into the Gulf. The event does not end when the last track disappears. It changes shape inside the formation. The after-action phase begins immediately and quietly. Systems that were pushed to their limits do not simply shut down. They recalibrate. Power levels normalize in stages. Sensors widen their sweep, then narrow again, searching not for what just happened, but for what could happen next. This is not recovery, it is repositioning. On the tactical plots, the formation subtly reshapes itself. Escorts widen and tighten spacing in new patterns. Overlapping coverage shifts forward. Weak angles are reduced. The geometry of defense is rewritten based on what was just learned. No one announces the change. Everyone feels it. Intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets are pushed farther forward. Air patrols extend their range. Subsurface elements adjust depth and position, slipping into quieter water where they can listen longer and see farther. From the outside, none of this looks dramatic. From the inside, every piece of it is deliberate. The captain holds a short command exchange. Direct, technical. No speeches, no speculation, only facts. One escort took minor damage. 2 sailors were injured and returned to duty. 1 sensor degraded and was compensated for. All mission objectives remain intact. Then comes the key line. Assume follow-on activity. It does not raise voices, it sharpens them. Rules of engagement are reviewed, not rewritten. Thresholds are clarified. Response timelines are tightened, not expanded, not escalated, refined. The strike group will not wait to be surprised twice. That is the real shift. The carrier continues forward without changing speed or heading, but around it, posture has evolved. Defensive layers now sit slightly farther out. Reaction times are shorter. The system is more alert, not louder, not more visible, just faster to decide. This is how control works at sea, not through spectacle, not through immediate retaliation, but by making the next attempt harder than the last. Somewhere beyond the horizon, sensors pick up distant movement. Nothing openly hostile. Nothing that crosses the line. It is logged and watched, not challenged. The message has already been delivered. The strike group absorbed a coordinated saturation attack. It took a glancing blow. It remained intact. It stayed on mission. And then it adjusted. That adjustment is not for show. It is for endurance. There is no statement drafted on board, no flags raised, no outward change in behavior that would invite misunderstanding. To the outside world, this still looks like a routine transit. That too is intentional. In modern naval operations, control is rarely declared. It is demonstrated quietly again and again until it becomes impossible to ignore. Inside the CIC, analysts begin compiling the full engagement timeline. Launch profiles, guidance behavior, decoy performance, intercept timing, near-miss geometry. Everything is preserved. That data will travel farther than any of the weapons that appeared on the scope. It will shape training. It will influence future deployments. It will change the way the next engagement unfolds. The sailors understand this even if they never read the full analysis. They felt the pressure themselves. They know where the margins were thin. They know what held. That knowledge stays with them. As watches rotate, the strike group settles into a new rhythm. Not relaxed, not tense. Ready in a deeper, quieter way. The Gulf opens ahead, shipping lanes intersect, traffic thickens. The carrier and her escorts move through it all without ceremony, indistinguishable from routine to anyone not looking closely. But beneath the surface, the posture is different now. Sharper, faster, less forgiving of error. The attack did not force a retreat, it forced an evolution. And often that is the most important outcome of all. The inbound wave ended. The strike group did not answer with spectacle. It answered with position, readiness, and control. And as it continues forward into the Gulf, the message is no longer about what was stopped. It is about what will not be allowed to happen next.